Hi, Ming.
Hi.
I'm Angela Sumner.
Hi.
I'll be talking with you today. I'm glad you came in. First thing we want to go over is an informed consent. You can read it.
Okay.
And it just talks about the fact that I am a graduate student, so I'm using this counseling session as practice, and that my teacher will be reviewing it. So it's helped me strengthen my counseling skills, and also, so what we'll be doing is we're going to have 3 sessions, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
We're doing this today, and each session will be 45 to 50 minutes, and we'll do it in the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
So we're starting today. In the next couple of weeks, we'll schedule 2 more sessions.
Okay.
Now, since this is part of my training, we're going to be videotaping it. Now, how do you feel about that?
I'm okay.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Now, my professor will be reviewing it, but not anyone else.
Okay.
Okay. And then also, at the end of this session or my semester, we will destroy it. And now we'll take notes, and all those things will be destroyed as well.
Okay.
That's okay? Now, so there's going to be 3 sessions, and then we'll just talk to you about whatever you're experiencing.
Okay.
You know, give you opportunity to talk about that. And like I said, I will be taking notes just to keep myself on track.
Okay.
And then, so just want to let you know that with this counseling session, though, although everything's confidential right now, but if you start talking about harming yourself or harming someone else, or doing just any kind of thing that you want, any kind of thing that's not going to protect people, or people are at risk, their safety is at risk, then I will have to report it. Is that okay? So.
Well, we get a chance to talk about it because it's part of the session.
Yeah, yeah. We'll talk about it, but I will have to report it though, because it's by right we have to do that. By law, we have to do that. For the safety of yourself and the public.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'll give you information where you can contact me, so that just in case you want to talk to me outside of the 3 sessions, I'll be available for that. And I'll let you know my availability time.
Okay.
Okay? So if you agree with that, what we just talked about. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and start the session. And you just go ahead and just tell me a little bit about yourself, your name, your age. Well, I know your name is Ming. So what about, how old are you?
59.
Okay, you're 59, and you're a male. What's your culture?
Chinese.
Okay, Chinese.
First generation born,
Mm-hmm.
United States, from New York.
Oh, from New York. So your family came from China and then to New York. Or no?
Yes,
By
actually
when?
they ended up in New York. First they came into Boston
Mm-hmm.
and Rhode Island, and then eventually they settled down to New York. They first generation immigrants. They bought a laundry there, so we had a Chinese laundry business in the Bronx, in which we were like 1 of 5 along a 10-block area. So we were littered up 10 blocks. Every 2 blocks there was a Chinese laundry.
Wow.
So
How many blocks?
every 2 blocks.
Wow, and they all were able to sustain your business.
Yeah, it was a long time. Everybody.
Was it dry cleaning or just?
Laundry, all kinds of laundry.
Oh, so.
Sheets, pillowcases, socks, shirts.
Okay, regular clothes
underwears.
and no dry cleaning, just laundry.
No dry cleaning. Dry
Okay.
cleaning was something else. We specialized in a lot of folks were professionals, so we specialize in hand ironing shirts. So we put them up on hangers, put them in little plastic.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't, they would be washed and dry, but then you would do an extra starching and, oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So did you get involved in that business?
Because
first generation was your mom and dad. Correct?
Yeah, first generation. They bought the business, and that's what they did. They did that until I went to college, and then.
Did you help when you were in high school?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, so you did work in the business.
You know what it's like to take dirty laundry and start sorting them out, because we had to sort them by colors and types, and also my mom would have a coding system. So in the labels, the clothing labels, that's where we'd write these little Chinese characters so we can identify. And what was so funny about that was that sometimes the Chinese characters reflected the personality, like a person that was tall.
That brought it in?
Yeah, we kind of just write our own characters. They wouldn't know. The customer wouldn't.
Oh, no, no,
We
no.
write it in Chinese. Oh yeah, this person is tall, or this person has walks
Yeah, with
a
a
little limp, or
limb.
something like that. So there's always some kind of odd character that.
So it sounds like when you were growing up that your family really integrated you with the business, and they also was supportive. So you had a camaraderie in the relationship of the business where you worked the business, but you just didn't feel like you were just a worker. You were a part of it. You put the little
Okay.
characters. You guys got to know the customers by signifying their clothes with them by using a character from your country, obviously, from a Chinese character.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you had a good network with your mom and dad. And did you have brothers and sisters?
I had one brother,
Mhm.
younger brother, 4 years younger, and I had a sister that was left behind in China, and she
Okay.
didn't get to come back to the United States
Was
for
she older?
30 years. Older, yes, 6 years older.
Okay. And so 30 years.
Yeah, yeah. She
Why they leave her behind?
My father, like a lot of generations, they came to America to work and send money back home.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they travel back, but not as much. But mainly the men came over here, worked, sent money back home, and then maybe 5 or 10 years or something, anywhere from 5 to 10 years, they would go back. Some never went back. So they had to decide whether to keep sending money back or send money for them to come over.
Yeah.
So my father made enough money for my mother to come over, but not enough for my sister until later, maybe another. So if my mother and father were working together, they could work better and then send money quicker. But because of what was happening at that time, communism shut down the doors, because my folks were from mainland China
Oh, okay.
in the southern part Canton. So as my mother and father were working, communist China shut down. So my sister
Had to wait.
had to wait until immigration let loose
Yeah.
and China relaxed its policy. So that wasn't until after I graduated college and went to work, because I went into the military. I was out station. My first station was in Texas. My sister came, and I didn't get to meet her until maybe a couple of years after she came. So she came in, I think, 1982. I was still in Texas,
In Texas.
and I didn't go back to New York until 1985. So
Wow.
you can say that.
And when I like how you said get to meet her, because that 30 years you had a disconnect. There was no writing, phone calls, internet.
I didn't write Chinese. I didn't know how to write Chinese.
Yeah,
So
30
it's
years I
hard.
guess she was definitely full Chinese.
Yeah, so she couldn't read English, so there's no way for me to communicate with her except that my mother and my father would send letters,
Mm-hmm.
or what we call air letters.
So when you
She
met her, did
picked
she
up.
speak?
She
English?
spoke Chinese, my dialect, and so we can understand each other speaking. But as far as written communication
Yeah.
and knowing that part of her, I didn't know her.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that I know with her is just my interaction with her and talking. Other than that, I didn't know very much about her. But since then, I mean, this is like 30 years now. I know her a lot better, of course, and we have a pretty good relationship. But
Oh,
early
good.
on,
What's her speaking now?
still
English?
Chinese.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Because when she came over to America, she had her own family too.
Oh, yeah. that
So
makes
it
sense.
wasn't easy just to get my sister. Now, over the
Oh,
years,
so that's what took so long.
she got married, had her own family. So she had 2 children, and then when she came here in 1982, she had a third one. So, because the third one is her last child was small. Her youngest son is a little bit older than my son, my
Oh,
biological
okay.
son. So
Wow, sounds very interesting and fascinating. As I'm used to just Americanized, born here. We might move to another state, but to have your family be in another country and then have to have gather funds to get the rest of the family over. So I know Chinese culture, what I think I know is that they're very close knit with their family.
Oh, we're very close.
Yeah, so then
we like to stay.
Yeah.
Try to stay in the same family,
Mhm. So it had to been very, had to been some challenging times for your parents. Because as you got older, do you think that the relationship between you and your sister kind of dissipated because she wasn't around? But your parents, I mean, that's their daughter,
yeah.
and she's having babies and they want to see their grandchildren so I'm sure that caused some strain, but it looks like you guys really integrated, putting the release of some of that strain into the business and having some lightheartedness by using the characters to describe the customers and to keep the business going. Now, what actually finally shut the business down? Did your parents get elderly, or?
Neighborhood changed. When I was growing up, it was mostly white, Irish, Italian, Jewish, and the neighborhood changed, and Chinese business was going out because there was the laundromat business moved in, so people, instead of bringing it to the Chinese laundry, they would go wash it themselves.
Oh, I see. So when they brought it to the Chinese laundry, nobody came in and did their own washing at all. It was drop it off.
Mostly
Okay.
drop it off. Yeah, that was that time. People just love to have their laundry done, and get the little extra touches.
Yeah.
We used to. Yeah, it was a pretty big enterprise. Pretty.
Lucrative, sounds like.
It was hard work, long hours.
Yeah.
Long
But
hours.
you still made money.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, that sounds awesome. I mean, it's just very interesting to hear about your different culture. I appreciate you sharing that. So I just want to talk a little bit about, give me some idea of why you are here talking to me today. Not just about your culture, but you have some concerning things going on?
Yeah, I'm going to graduate school at George Mason.
Okay.
And in the class they talked about anyone students that come in have changes in their lives. There's a professor in class that said that all the PhD students have usually had to go to counseling to deal with adjustment disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, wow, I was very surprised by that. I says, well, why is that? He says, well, it's a big change. Either after your job responsibilities, family responsibilities, it's all adjustments. So I thought about it. I said, last time I was in school, I finished a master's program in 1989.
So right now you're
25 years later,
working on your. Tell me where you went to school.
I went to school at Lehman College in the Bronx.
Okay, you went to school in the Bronx, and you got your undergrad.
Undergraduate in chemistry.
Okay.
And I was in a ROTC program, which is a military training, reserve officer training corps, and was commissioned in the chemical corps.
Okay.
And my first assignment was was in Texas, but since then I was 23 years in the military. I've lived all around the United States, Alabama,
Navy,
California, Army.
okay.
California, Kansas, Maryland, and then.
Did you make it to Fort Polk?
No.
Yeah, my son was born in Fort Polk.
Oh, Army guy.
Yeah, my ex-husband was an Army guy, so
Okay.
Fort Polk.
I forgot what school was there, but with all the changes.
School of Infantry.
Infantry?
Infantry.
Really?
Grunt soldiers there at Fort Polk.
Oh, okay.
First line grunt soldiers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were first line.
Combat.
They should train at Fort Irwin at least one time a year, do a whole month training at Fort Irwin, like the desert, to be available for the desert in the Middle East. So yeah, it was very interesting. So so then where'd you get your master's, your first master's?
My master's degree, my first master's degree was in Los Angeles, University of Southern California. I did systems management.
Systems management?
Systems management, and that was to help with the work I was doing. I was in acquisition, so I worked as a contractor contracting officer,
Mhm.
program manager.
So you did that during the military?
Do that
Oh,
during the
okay.
military. So I did my first 8 years in line units.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Was at the Second Armored Division. Was a platoon leader, company commander, and then you do a career change. So I went into acquisition management, which was contracting and program management. So my first assignment in that field was in California. I was in Newport Beach, California. If you can believe that. I'm an Army guy in Newport Beach,
I
California.
know, but you were having fun, right?
That was great.
I know. I can imagine.
Every year my branch would call me up and says, is it time for you to leave? And I said,
No, we
I
like
just got
Newport
here.
Beach.
First year, I just got here. Second year, said, yeah, this is my second year.
Mhm.
Third year. Then after the fourth year, they said, you've been here long enough. I said, I don't think so, but if you have any other place to go, I'll go.
Okay, so it sounds like so that's where you got your first master's. So now you're getting your second master's, or is this a third?
Second master's and a different career.
Second master's, different career. Now you're doing, what is your career?
I want to go to counseling.
Counseling. Oh, okay.
And I want to use the counseling in the community agent setting
Mm-hmm.
with working with veterans, wounded
Oh.
warriors. I like to.
Wow, that's
to do
awesome.
that.
That sounds like that would be a great work for you because you have the experience
Mhm.
of the military, and now you can go and help them with their troubles. So, Ming, you talked to me about, you said one of the things you referenced that made you want to come is because your teacher suggested that, or not suggested, but made a comment that all PhD students need to, or will experience counseling at some point
We'll
because
have
of the
to.
stress.
We would go. And
So
I
it's like
think-
dealing with change.
Yeah.
So tell me what's going on with you now. Tell me what change how are you adjusting or not adjusting or having concerns about adjusting, if anything, with now you're getting your second master's. What's going on?
It's going back to school. It's an exciting experience. It's great. I love researching, getting into the new field, learning about it. A lot of things that I knew based on my experience was nothing compared to when I started really studying about it. I said,
Right.
oh, now I think I understand it. But a lot of it was just my own life experiences, and I thought, I could get a good handle on things, but actually it's not as easy as I thought it would be. It takes a
Okay.
lot of self-reflection.
Tell me what you're finding not easy. Tell me, because you told me about it sounds like you have an easiness for learning and absorbing information that's not familiar to you. But what is causing some discord for you right now?
I guess being an older student,
Mhm.
you feel, or I feel, I'm not saying it, but I feel I depend a lot on my own personal values
Mhm.
and my experiences, and I tend to be very vocal about it sometimes, and I'll open up my mouth and speak out of context, and when the words come out, it's just, you say, maybe I shouldn't have said that. So I find myself sometimes biting my
Well, give
tongue.
me a little example. I mean, you're telling me about that you found that you're saying things. Is this in the classroom setting?
In this classroom settings
So
with
you're
younger
saying
people.
things with younger people because you're older, you feel that those things have been not necessarily inappropriate, but not able to be received by younger people because of their experience. So tell me about an incident that happened that you can reflect upon.
Well, there was an incident in counseling where it was in the first classes. It was in Introduction to Counseling Theories,
Mm-hmm.
and the professor asked us to stand up and tell us what's your position on a certain thing,
Mhm.
on handicapped people, on race relationships, on discipline, and they had the students kind of stand, okay, from a scale of 0 to 10, where would you stand? And then
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I find myself, if I was to be really honest, on a really, really far extreme on the
Yeah,
scale.
on the left side.
And most of my classmates were on this side, and
Okay.
I found I was kind of kind of
So,
strange.
so that made, so you felt some challenge, you felt a challenge, you felt a, did you feel
Awkward.
overwhelmed?
Feel kind of awkward.
Awkward, so it wasn't uncomfortable, wasn't that easy, like, wow, and you found that to be on most of the questions that she asked, where you had to stand at a particular scale from 1 to 10, that you always were left, and your class, or, you know, one side and your classmate, the majority was always.
Yeah, the majority was on this side and I was on this side, so whether you classify as having conservative values or liberal values, I'm not gonna put a label on it, but, I guess in my life, I have strong opinion about some things, and I have to realize that they may be my personal opinions, but if I wanna work in the field, I can't allow that to.
So it sounds like it's causing you to do some reflection on how you would be when you're dealing with clients in regards to your perception of things and how you relay that perception. And so, does that, because you feel different from the students, and you feel that you open up your mouth when you just might not, you might not have, would have, or you weren't able to be received, how did that make you respond to yourself? With that, and doing your personal reflection, how do you respond to yourself? What did you?
I sometimes look at it in terms of the difficulties I've had raising my children over the years, because I've applied a certain set of standards, but then as they grew up and they became their own people, you know, as adults, you know, just acting on their own, running their lives, carrying on with what they have to do, how it's changed and how their attitudes reflect the colleagues.
Yeah, the colleagues.
So when I see that, I start looking at some of the struggles I had with raising my kids, and how and why we were at odds with each other. So it's making me really look at myself to be more open about different points of view.
Okay, and so what's the challenge? Because you said that's like, that you're considering that whole process a challenge for you. Tell me what challenges you about.
I think it challenges me in a sense is not speaking out quickly, being more thinking about what I have to say, how I say it, and in the company of people that I say it.
Well, definitely we're going to talk a lot more about that in our further sessions, because I hear some things going on with you. You're concerned about the challenge, about what to say, when to say, so that or how to say it so that it can be received, because you want to be, it sounds like you really want to be a part of the communicating class. You want to communicate with your classmates, you want to be involved in the process of learning that everyone is doing. So that's really interesting. We talked about some of your background things, which was really nice. Tell me a little bit about your current life. Tell me about what's, like, you're at home. Tell me, are you married, single, divorced?
Oh, married.
Okay, so you're married, and you have, what's your wife's name?
Wife's name is Sarah.
Sarah, okay. How many years?
This will be 35 in December.
That's so impressive. I don't think I've had many clients sit in front of me that's been married for 35 years. That's extremely impressive, and obviously a challenge that you have embraced and that you have succeeded at, which just gives you hope. You know, that you can succeed at this challenge that you're facing right now.
I don't know why I call it successful. I tell you, it's a work in progress.
Well, tell me a little bit about the roles you guys play. Like,
it's really changed a lot since kids went to college.
How many children?
2 boys.
Okay.
They're in their 30s, and they're both working, living on their own. Good.
That is good.
We had the hardest time with the youngest one because we always kind of treated him like a baby, but he was the one that acted the most independent. It was kind of odd.
That was. So what was the hard time about it?
He wanted to, I guess, he wanted to compare himself to his oldest son because we were really hard on the oldest son, held him to some pretty hard standards, high standards, and they both went to music lessons, piano, violin, and our focus was a lot on academics. academics, making sure they did well, and trying to do other things like community service. So all that was really, really, it was like a whirlwind of activities. I mean, every hour was this, or this. My oldest son took it on really well. He took the challenge and worked hard with it. Sorry.
No, it's my fault.
And my youngest son, since we were so easy on him, he was kind of more was holding back.
Holding back.
Not meeting the
Oh, okay.
challenges we said, hey, you need to
So you
read a book this month. And,
and then you went off. So it sounds like you had two different rearings of the children.
yeah.
And one was, it sounded like that first rearing was based on a lot of tradition and a lot of, I mean, because you said you were hard on them and academics was very important, and they had to also be socially trained in regards to music lessons and things of that nature. But when you got the second one, you considered that being spoiled because you weren't as hard on him. Remember you said, well, we kind of spoiled him, we kind of babied him. So you figured you're considering not being hard on them as baby, and yet you said to me that your son is independent, which
Probably more so.
Yeah. Right, because, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and the independence of your son who had more freedom as opposed to the independence of the son who had less freedom to be their own, develop into their own, character instead of being so structured. So there's two boys. Youngest boy, you gave them more leeway, and then the oldest boy more strict. Okay, and so are they married?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, they're not married. So
Which is
do they live in the same town?
Two of them right now are living together. My oldest son was in the military, and he just came back from Afghanistan.
Okay.
He bought a house before he left. He was gone for about a year. Then came back.
Who lived in the house?
The youngest one. See, my oldest boy bought a house, and my youngest boy had to go buy a house. I don't know why he had to go buy a house.
Okay.
Well,
Who bought the house
baby,
first?
My oldest one.
Oldest bought the house, and then the youngest bought a house very soon afterwards.
Within a year, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
He had to buy one too. I said, well, why do you need to buy a house? Why don't you, if you're looking for a place to live, just come over here and just pay us rent or something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But he wouldn't do that. Oh no.
And he had a house, 3-bedroom.
My oldest one bought a single family house, and my youngest one bought a townhouse.
Wow. And this is a lot of space for the individual people.
Well, it's his privacy, his haven, his way to tell you, Mom, I gotta go home. Dad, I gotta go home. I gotta go home. Well, this is your home. Oh, no, it's not.
Not anymore, huh?
Not anymore. I got a house. I'm paying a mortgage on it. I didn't say that, but I got the message.
So your oldest went into the military, and then so your youngest sold his house then at that point? You said the youngest lived in the oldest house.
No, actually, he went on Craigslist, and he listed the house, and he got people staying on it. So for the
The youngest rented his house and lived in his brother's big house.
And he listed his townhouse for 3 other people to live in, and he's been collecting rent for the last 3 years. So
Very resourceful.
He's very entrepreneurial, very resourceful. That's why I admire about him. He's really learned. And I think some of the lessons we passed on to him. We moved around, and wherever we went, most of the time we bought a house. So we're trying to pass on those lessons.
Trying to pass on those lessons and those
Instead
skills.
of,
So it sounds like you're still, did you tell me their ages now? What are the ages now?
33 and 31.
33. Oh, so they're close in age.
Yeah.
So they're really.
3 years apart.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now tell me a little bit about Miss Sarah. How do you and Miss Sarah? What's the dynamics between you and Miss Sarah?
Sarah and I went to college together at Lehman. She was a nursing student. I was trying to graduate college, And she set me straight. She says, I'm graduating, so you better graduate. I said, okay.
Oh,
Because
so
that's the
it was
only way.
like, it was demand at first sight. Usually you have love at first sight. Was it demand at first sight? She's very,
It
Sarah
wasn't
knows
exactly
what she
love
wants.
at first sight. I was seeing someone out there, when we met, and, I was club president, Chinese club president.
Okay.
And, it wasn't until the last 2 years, or ended near the end of the junior year, that we really got to know each other, started dating, and we just decided, hey, you know what, let's get married.
Wow. So you've learned to love her.
Yeah.
It's, I've seen that with people who are married a long time, that there wasn't this passion love in the beginning. It's a love, but it's not a passion. You know, that love that.
Like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, like Romeo and Juliet, and they're just constantly on a honeymoon 24/7. But my best friend is that way, and she did not have those same deep passionate feelings for her husband in the beginning. She loved him, but I mean they've been married for 30-something years. I don't know the number. I think in 2011 it was 30 years, and now we're 14. So it's almost like you and Sarah, and they have a very strong, solid relationship because they love each other definitely, and they respect each other. So it's really so who makes the decisions?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay, shared decisions. You share household chores too?
Yeah, yeah, we do. She cooks, I clean.
Does she still work?
No, she's retired.
Okay, she's retired. And so then what do you guys do to keep the relationship going?
Every year we plan on going somewhere.
Family?
We have a couple's trip. We go somewhere. We'll either go on a cruise, we'll go flying off somewhere. Like last year, went on a cruise to Denmark, and then spent a week there at Copenhagen. It was really nice. This year, this past summer, I didn't go to school, but we went up to Canada. So we traveled to Toronto, Vancouver, and we cruised up to Alaska. So that was, so every year.
You took the cruise this summer to Alaska?
We just came back from a cruise about a month ago in Alaska. So that was nice. I've never been up there. It's a beautiful place.
My cousin went there and she posted the pictures. It was very beautiful. So
every year I guess what keeps it, we both love to travel. We like to go to different places. Next year, she wants to go to Hong Kong. So she wants, since I've got frequent flyer miles already piled up, she says, well, we got to use them. Use them or lose them. So she says, well, let's go to Hong Kong.
So she sounds very resourceful and mindful of the family's assets and how to utilize those assets.
She's the chief financial officer, CEO.
So it sounds like you
just
really respect her now, and that you appreciate her being in your life, and that is you're not thinking of anything else but just to continue being married to her. And so, how does she help you with the challenges? Are you able to talk to her about the challenges?
There are some things that I talk about. There's some things I'm not sure how everybody else is up, but there's some things I still keep to myself because it's personal things I struggle with. In 35 years of marriage, it's not easy. It's every day it's work. People say it's not. I like to take a look into their life a little bit, but every day it's a conscious effort.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can't take it for granted because as soon as you do, you stop communicating. So it's every day. It's verifying this, communicating that, hey, I'm going here. Oh, remember I had an appointment here, and it's those kind of reminding each other about where are you supposed to be, where am I supposed to be, what are we supposed to be doing together, what are we not doing together. So she has her circle of friends. I feel as I'm getting older, she has a circle of friends that I'm not very interested in.
Yeah.
I have my circle of friends, which she's not interested in, so we have to respect those boundaries. So It's not like we do everything as a couple, but
Okay,
I think for us, having separate interests is a good thing.
okay, so it sounds like you guys have been able to build a relationship where, it's very solid, it's complementary.
It's
It's
complementary.
a complementary relationship.
The solid part is one thing. Hello.
Hey, sorry, Dr. Tolerant asked us to tell you guys that that we're running behind,
Okay,
so.
cut it.
about Final 5 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hold on. 5 minutes. Okay, so, you know, it sounds like that although you are in school and you and your wife have a very complimentary relationship, you talk to her about some things about the challenges you're facing, but not all things, but it doesn't hinder, you're not holding back from her. It's just that it's not the dynamic of your relationship, maybe to go to her with everything that you, with everything
Yeah.
you're experiencing, because you have some separateness, but it's not a bad separateness. It's good, it's a complementary separateness.
I guess we're still kind of figuring it out because, since our children left, over a decade, our roles have changed.
Mhm.
So we have this kind of like an empty nest syndrome where all of a sudden the children were the buffer.
Yes.
Now they're not there, then all of a
Mhm.
sudden we've come to the realization that when I come home, it's like, it's just you and me, there's no buffer anymore. So everything
Yeah.
that
So
comes
now
up.
it's, the buffer is you guys.
Well, the buffer is what we make of it, because
Mhm.
we had to, sometimes when you're in each other's space so much, it's just,
What
the
happens then?
littlest things irritate you, like.
Okay, so irritation
You
to
didn't,
myself.
you didn't put the salt shaker where it's supposed to be, or this pan doesn't belong here, or the, the container covers should be this way or that way. So all those little things are getting in the way.
So you're kind of getting each individual, now this separateness that you've had throughout the marriage, not a negative separateness, but it's becoming, it's just more noticeable because you did some things separately, like, if,
I had work, she had,
Yeah.
she had her job.
yeah, so when you put the salt shaker somewhere, maybe she didn't put it that way, or vice versa, and so now you go and mess with the salt shaker, and she can't determine if it's your two boys, it has to be you, so she's gonna come to you.
Well, it's gotta be me.
Yeah,
Nobody else in the house.
exactly. So now she's kind of going to the next person in line. There's no boys. Usually you can find the boys. Did you guys do that? Did you guys do that? And then you you eliminate. It's like no process of elimination now.
Yeah, step out the room and figure it out.
Yeah, no process of elimination.
I think the hardest part was in the beginning when we first started the empty nest syndrome, where we
Mhm.
were so, our contact was so, there was
Mhm.
nobody in between that.
Yes.
It was just kind of a little bit rough, but we had to work through that.
Right. How long has it been now?
It's about 10, 12 years already.
Wow.
So,
Okay, but and you
because-
said you're still working, which
Yeah.
is nice.
With the college kids, they were away, of course, but it was always there. But now that the boys are working, we see them maybe once a week. If we call them up, say, hey, let's have dinner.
Yeah.
We promise to get together once a week, but then we do.
Mhm.
We try.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of dynamics, and what we're gonna do in our next section, we're gonna delve a little bit more into some of the challenges and how you're dealing with the challenges of being a college student, an older college student in a world of, younger people. And is that okay? We'll set up a new
I'm fine,
appointment.
I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm so glad to meet you, and I look forward to our next session and talking with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.